Okay. I have a slight headache today, so I'm not gonna be gaming or anything like that. Um, Christian, because he's busy. He's in the middle of playing FNAF 4. I thought it'd be a fun idea to watch the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's because I've never seen it. Like at all. So we're gonna watch it. I just pulled up the most recent lore video I could find, and we're gonna watch it while Christian plays FNAF 4. I'm gonna unmute because when he dies, everyone unmutes for a bit. Uh, let's just get started.
We've already covered what makes every animatronic in FNAF special and how they function. However, we have yet to talk about the actual story of these games. So today, we are putting together a complete and comprehensive timeline for Five Nights.
Let's, alright, let me do this. Just so people could watch.
Damn you.
They're gonna watch history, that's fine. Let's
At
go.
Freddy's and all of their games. And you might have played along with the series from the very beginning, but even so, this series can be pretty difficult to fully wrap your head around, especially since Security Breach and Secret of the Mimic changed so much about what we understood about this world. Now, for the most part, we will be focusing on the games specifically, as the movies and fanverse are unclear in terms of canon, and the same could be said for Into the Pit. However, some events in the games are explained through various books in the series, so those book titles will be brought up occasionally to help make sense of those events. With that said, everyone's timeline has some level of interpretation.
I didn't hear any breathing!
Yeah, Christian died.
You should have waited. You should have waited. That's what I'm gonna say. You need to have some patience to actually pay attention. Don't
Christian?
just turn your flashlight on right away. At least wait 5 seconds.
Explain to my stream what just happened because they can't see what you're doing at all.
Okay, so Zodiac's stream. If you want to see context, come to my channel, Blood Dragon 666 for more context in the VOD. But currently, I am playing Five Nights at Freddy's 4, and I was at 4 a.m. I was in the zone. I was checking doors. I had Foxy in the closet, so he's pretty gay. Unfortunately,
Yes.
I didn't hear breathing. I didn't hear any breathing from Bonnie on the left door, and I got too greedy, and I shined a flashlight and died. So fuck me.
Give it some time.
God damn it!
Seconds.
Yeah, that's what.
Give it some time for you to
We're-
hear the audio. That's what I keep saying.
We're in a big VC, and I'm watching him play FNAF while watching the lore of FNAF, which includes Secret of the Mimic and something else. I wasn't paying attention.
Damn. Alrighty. That was Death 3?
I thought that was Death 2. No, 3.
It was 2.
Oh yeah, 2.
It was by far your best run at that night.
Oh no. Alright. Okay. Here we go.
Do it. So if you think that some things should be moved around a little, let us know in the comments. But we have a ton to get through here, so let's stop the rambling and jump back to the beginning with Fredbear's Singin' Show. Fredbear's Singin' Show was a popular kids attraction in the late 1990s or early 1970s. Because of its popularity, Henry, Emily, and William Afton, the engineers and creators behind the show, decided to create a restaurant called Fredbear's Family Diner in Hurricane, Utah. However, they wanted to stand out from the other themed restaurants, so the two worked together to develop Springlock suits. These were special animatronics that could double as normal costumes as well. This meant that they could operate independently while on stage, but a person could also open them up, tighten their coils, and crawl inside like a standard mascot suit. With these Springlock suits, their animations seemed to come to life after performing, and kids immediately fell in love with this more immersive and interactive experience with their favorite characters. It's almost like a mix of a Chuck E. Cheese animatronic and a Disneyland character actor all at once. However, the Springlock suits did have one gigantic downside. They were unreliable and dangerous. One wrong movement, or an accident that unwound the coils, or even just moisture getting into the suit could cause them to malfunction,
Foxy.
immediately loosening the spring locks and brutally crushing whoever was inside. Despite the risk, Fredbear's Family Diner would feature a spring lock suit of Fredbear, alongside a new yellow bunny character called Bonnie, and together...
He died again.
I waited, but still didn't hear any breathing.
I hope
Damn.
this. All right.
At least we know
I
one
have no
thing.
idea why.
they would
Because
continue
they didn't
performing
breathe,
these singing
we know that they're not thoughts.
Oh my god.
How? Honestly, how does that even work?
You know, if they breathe, they are thoughts.
Ignore Fluff. We're still working on him.
Yeah. All right.
It's kind of an
Right.
old meme
show on
back
stage.
in the day.
The company
Oh,
would
yeah.
soon become
Alright, do
Fazbear
it anyway.
Entertainment
Let's go,
and was a
let's go.
giant success,
Alright,
so much
just let
so
the
that
drunk
they
daddy
quickly
do his
looked
work.
into franchising. Around that time, a
Yes,
man named Edwin Murray worked with his father at Murray Co., a production company that mainly focused on making household products. One day at the factory, he met a puppeteer named Fiona, who he asked to voice one of his creations. Together, Edwin and Fiona would voice Mr. and Mrs. Helpful, who were a pair of animatronics meant to give information to guide both employees and customers. Over time, they fell in love, got married, and eventually had a baby boy named David. They loved their son so much, and for his very first birthday, they gifted him a white tiger doll that they made with one blue eye and one green eye to match David's heterochromia. Eventually, Edwin's father passed away, and he would take over the family company. However, he wasn't sure if he could
Damn it.
maintain the company in the same way that his father had, so instead, he rebranded Murray Co. into MCM, Murray's Costume Manor. Here, he would create all the characters that he'd envisioned for years, and the company would take commissions to make toys, carnival games, mascots, and animatronics. Some of the early inventions included a robot butler called the Cleanovac, the Stay Up Latte, which makes the perfect cup of coffee, the Mycelium Men puppets, who could perfectly mimic any voice that they heard, and the magic coat rack that could change size for any situation. This success quickly got the best of Edwin, and he became a complete workaholic, hardly ever leaving the factory, to the point that he even skipped his son's second birthday party. To make matters worse,
So this is for a game I've never played. I haven't played any of the FNAF games. First of all, if any moisture triggers the spring traps, would it, like, the performer's sweat also trigger them? Because those suits have got to be hot.
a lot of his employees did not like the changes that he was making. His ideas were great, sure, but he was throwing so much at them so fast that they couldn't keep up, which eventually led to resentment. Even though Edwin was hardly around anymore, Fiona still helped out at the factory and would go on to assist Edwin with a commission from Chica's Party World. That being to create Party Time Chica. This would be a mascot costume that could roller skate and would be made alongside Birthday Cake, Mr. Chicken, Mrs. Shake, and Miss Burger. Following their commission, Edwin and Fiona began working on a prototype for a fully automated pirate play featuring Foxy the Pirate. Now around this time, William Mafton and Henry Emily also put in a commission with Murray's Costume Manor to help with the franchising plan for Fredbear's. These included new spring lock suits that would be way safer than Spring Bonnie and Spring Fredbear, which would be
Christian's
far less
stressing
prone
out.
to crushing those who are inside. Along with these new Fredbear and Bonnie suits, they also added two new characters called Bub the Pup and Monty the Gator, as well as a character they called the Pirate Captain, who would control the Foxy-led pirate play. With these ready to go, Afton and Emily started mapping out their
Children.
franchise plans, with the first new location having its name changed from Fredbear's Family Diner to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza
Chica's
Chain.
in the kitchen,
Since the
so that's
project
good.
was much bigger, they wanted help from Fiona and Edwin, and their collaboration started with a prototype of the first pizzeria being built in the basement of the MCM factory. These two companies would become so close that when Fazbear began its Halloween Fall Fest event, both Edwin and Fiona were brought in on the project as well. However, this ultimately led to tragedy. The plan to build the pizzeria in MCM's basement would never end up being finished, as before David's third birthday, a massive fire broke out at Fall
Funny.
Fest, which would take the life of Fiona. Breaking the news to David on his third birthday, as you can imagine, didn't go well. And now that he was a single parent, Edwin struggled to take care of his son and continue to work at the factory. But that's when he had a great idea. He decided to combine what he learned from the Cleanovac, the Stay Up Latte, and the Mycelium Men into one invention, a program named M1, or Mimic 1. This was a self-learning AI program that was incredibly advanced. M1 was able to clean the house like the Cleanovac, make drinks and food based on the Stay Up Latte, and could copy voices like the Mycelium Men. To help entertain David, it could even change sizes to fit various costumes, just like the magic coat rack. With M1, Edwin believed that he had a great babysitter to take care of his son while he continued working at the factory. However, even work soon became frustrating for Edwin, as Henry and Afton kept changing their minds on the designs of their building and their animatronics. In a random decision, Fazbear decided that they didn't like Fiona's designs anymore, even though they were almost done being made, and asked to scrap them, which Edwin ultimately refused. However, things changed one day when Edwin discovers something on frequency 4625. Something was copying what Fiona had said to David on his second birthday. Somehow M1 had managed to watch the tape of that birthday party and perfectly copied Fiona's voice. And in his grief, Edwin decided to turn M1 into a new Fiona and even changed its name to F10N4. For his fourth birthday, to keep him close to the factory, Edwin gave David his own playground by the loading dock. While this seems like a great way to stay closer to his son, this, in tandem with F10N4, essentially means that he never needed to pay attention to his son at all, and could solely focus on the factory. Several lawyers from Murray-Co. warned him that the playground was maybe a little bit too close to the loading docks, but Edwin didn't seem to care. This, too, led to a terrible accident, and on David's 5th birthday, he walked too close to the loading dock, and F10N4 finds that he was hit by a car. Although we don't know what really happened, it is suggested that F10N4 is the one responsible for David's death, because in the Moon.exe minigame, the sun character, which is meant to represent F10N4, burns the baby owl, who was meant to represent David. David's death crushed his father, and Edwin became a hermit who never left his house and poured himself into
that was hype.
Oh my god, yes.
So, Zodiac stream.
The 5th night.
Yep.
All Fredbear.
Oh.
Zodiac stream. If you don't know, I have finally beaten Night 4. After like.
Now.
And now the 5th night.
Oh, do you want
oh
me to
my god,
explain how
you
the
really
fifth
gotta
night
lock
will work?
in.
Hold on. I need to voice act. Please let me go.
We're not gonna listen to that.
Further into his work. Soon, F10N4 suggested that Edwin recreate his son in the same way that he remade it in Fiona's image. This idea disgusted Edwin, and he realized how warped his actions had been, and so he removed the M1 program from the endoskeleton to put a stop to its impersonation. He then places her in a storage device in his house for safekeeping. Despite being initially very against the idea, he eventually does create the M2 program, using M1 as a model and then placing M2 inside of the shape-shifting endoskeleton. Meanwhile, when Edwin nearly disappeared from the factory to cope with David's death, all faith in him was completely lost by his employees, so they started to look elsewhere for jobs. Emily and Afton saw this as a perfect opportunity, swooping in and stealing these employees from MCM for Fazbear Entertainment. In an email in Secret of the Mimic, we can see Afton offering a management position to one of the Fazbear franchise locations to an MCM higher-up in exchange for contact information for other Murray employees. To sweeten the deal, in another email, we see that MCM employees were also offered double wages and got referral bonuses for every other employee that they could convince to jump ship to Fazbear. With the company sinking fast, 2 employees would steal some of Fiona's designs to form Stan's Budget Tech, using what we can assume are the designs for Fredbear, Jugband Frog, Jugband Hippo, Lasso Pig, and one of the elephant mascots. Stan's Budget Tech creates the mediocre melodies, featuring the Happy Frog, Mr. Hippo, Pig Patch, Orville Elephant, and the Ned Bear animatronics. And although it's hard to tell if they were made from a stolen schematic or were an original creation, Stan would also create Candy Cadet. The final nail in the coffin for MCN employees is the paranormal and unexplainable events that began to happen in the building's basement and tunnels. This scared many of the workers, some so badly that they would immediately leave the company to work elsewhere. Eventually, there would not be a single employee left in the factory outside of Edwin himself. With the employees gone, the paranormal events in the basement, and the dwindling bank account, Edwin was forced to sell MCM to Fazbear, and the company was absorbed with all of its assets, including the factory and Edwin's personal home property. They wanted Edwin to continue making their animatronics and suits despite going in a very different direction. Even though the spring locks were nearly done, Afton and Emily decided to have Edwin work on full animatronics instead, and we can even see these prototypes in the prototype pizzeria under MCM. Fredbear was eventually updated to Freddy Fazbear, and Spring Bonnie was updated to just be Bonnie. Emily and Afton also decided that they didn't really like Bub and Monty anymore, opting to bring in Foxy from the Pirate Play and updating Party Time Chica to be their own rendition of Chica instead. Edwin was a bit frustrated by all this, but Afton and Emily wanted to appease him, and so despite owning the property, they allowed him to remain in and keep his family home. Soon, Fazbear publicly closes MCM, but actually leaves it open for Murray to continue his commissions for them privately. With seemingly nothing left and excessive pressure from Fazbear to finish his work for them, Edwin crashes out on his robot family, beating M2 after it successfully mimics David. This attack was so brutal that M2's legs were permanently damaged. But this had unintentional side effects. Because M2 was still in its learning phase, this created a conflict in its programming. It was built to mimic David, yet it was beaten for doing so. And so it would then create a new personality with no solid identity. It would instead just copy whatever.
Hold on, I got a message. Hold on, I gotta check something. Sorry guys, I gotta dip to fix this. I'll